Hello, hello. Welcome back to Mad Alaska podcast. Today, we don't have just a regular
Oh
individual
Lord.
because normally when we do shows, we have regular people, but today we have a very important member of the society and leader of the society, no other than Jasmin Smith. How are you doing today, Jasmin?
I'm doing really good. I'm happy that I finally was able to make it to your podcast.
I know,
So
right? It took about 2, 3 years.
I know. You've been asking. I feel bad, but I made it today, so this is good.
Definitely, definitely. So, because many people always hear your name, but I don't feel like they all understand your background and where you come from. Can you please elaborate a little bit on on your upbringings?
Yeah, so I've pretty much been in Alaska my whole life. I got here when I was 4. My mom was in the military, but for all intents and purposes, I'm Alaskan. My family is from Savannah, Georgia. Most of them are still there, by way of South Carolina and Kentucky, but I'm Alaskan. And then, contrary to popular belief, people think that I was raised in Mountain View. I'm actually from Eagle River,
Oh, wow.
and I went to Chugiak. I moved to Anchorage and Mountain View as an adult, so it's kind of like being bilingual culturally and community wise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. People don't know that. They thought I went to Bartlett. I'm like, I actually went to Chugiak. And I came to Anchorage and Mountain View later in life because I love the neighborhood. So that's where I have my roots at.
Come on, dude. Wow, I wouldn't have thought that. So you were Eagle River first.
Yes.
So coming down the years, tell us a little bit of your educational background or any skills and talents that you had.
Yeah, so honestly, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely went to college. I got a degree, but I've kind of I don't know if it's weird. I'm always kind of weird talking about it. I will, but I guess I feel like I never want people to feel like I got to where I am and the things that I'm doing through my education. It really was just really working and other things. But my first background was actually in music business management. So I went to UC Berkeley online so I could be a certified music business manager.
Wow.
And then from there, I just kind of transferred over to majoring actually in history. So that's why I joke, my degrees have nothing to do with running a business. So first was music business management, and then the other one was an African history degree. And then things just kind of worked out along the way that kind of threw me into business out of survival in college. And that's honestly kind of how I got into this world of entrepreneurship and community, is out of a necessity in school.
Wow. So take me through you starting or thinking of starting to get into business. How was that mindset for you, or what triggered that?
Yeah, so honestly, my first experience with getting into business was back when I was in college. And at the time, it was funny because there were artist groups then, like AK-49ers, 809 Hoods, and some of them that I would help with a little bit of business stuff on the side. And then it was funny, the artists would call me because they told me that I talk proper. And so they would call me and be like, hey, can you call this venue for me and be my manager or act professional because you have a business voice? And I'm like, sure. So I started charging them to just call venues for them and sound professional, negotiate for them. And then I realized that was actually a career field. And then one of my friends was like, that's called consulting and management. And then I just kind of expanded from there. But honestly, I think that's why I love music so much, is when I first got started, especially in Alaska, it was the hip hop and R&B community that actually supported me and paid me and hired me. So no matter what I do in business, I always have a place in my heart for that, because I just remember my roots. When people weren't rocking with me like that, it was the musicians that had my back. And so I really got started helping them do business.
Nice. Wow. That's how you started in the business.
Literally, it was the artist. Can you make me a contract? Can you tell me how to negotiate a venue? Can you help me do event planning? It was literally independent music artists that started and really helped me get into all this other business stuff. So I'm really serious when I say it doesn't matter what I do, what contract, who I work with. I always will make space to show love to artists because they showed love to me.
Definitely, definitely. Now, with going through that, starting helping the artists, figuring out that, hey, this is a avenue of income and a business in that. When did that start evolving more to the point you are able to just concentrate on that? What was the first one that was really successful for you?
I look back on it. I think when I got into the recording academy, like when I got my Grammy membership for the Pacific Northwest and I was able to like show people that, I think it took my business to another level and I was more respected. So then they wanted to actually kind of start paying me more. And then I think I think I did like back a few years ago, I did a battle of the bands at LED. I think that was when it really started to change. I did that. And then I did, a couple artists' like album release events. And I think once I did that and people saw that I could put on an event and it would be good and attended, I think it started changing. But I will say I think the biggest one was when I started doing the Black Business Expo and having entertainment and performers there, because I think it showed them like a higher caliber of professionalism, like performing at the museum and like the Denina Center and stuff. So I'd probably say like those things is what kind of catapulted it.
Yeah, started. Now, before that, then you started doing that and it started going more and more. Tell us about Baby Vet.
Oh,
How
snap,
did that
yeah.
start about?
Yeah, okay, so Baby Vending Machine Company, and it actually started because of my son, Elohim. I was at the mall, Fifth Avenue Mall shopping, and he had a diaper blowout, and I didn't have no more diapers. And I was going around asking them if they had a place in the mall that I could buy supplies, and they did not. And then so I went online, and I was like, I wonder if I could just find something to be in stores like this to be available. And then that's when the idea of the machine came. And then I just did research to kind of see how I can make like my own custom machine and put different things in there that other places don't have. And so that's another power of having good relationships. So my first location was actually the airport, thanks to relationships and working with people. So yeah, I did that. And then somehow I caught the attention of people out of state, and I started getting offered locations, got asked to audition for Shark Tank, and then it just kind of grew and evolved from there.
Wow, that is a big thing. Would you say that is so? Starting that, was there any difficulties that you faced? Tell us a little bit about the difficulties you faced.
Oh yeah, so anybody who knows me knows that vending machine sat in my garage for a year after I bought it. I mean, I think the main thing at first is just there wasn't any support. There wasn't any vending machine support. There wasn't any training. There wasn't any money. There was nothing. So it was pretty much me just trying to figure out how to make it happen. And if it weren't for friends who lent to me money and invested in me, I probably would still have that vending machine in the garage, or I would have gave up. So I tell people all the time, sometimes the start is really rocky. I didn't have any capital, and I just remember I was working like day and night in my night job. I just saved all that money to go towards Baby Vin. And then when my friends helped me, that's what really was allowed to launch formally. But I mean, any startup, I think a lot of us can say it's hard because you don't always know what to do legally. You don't always know the right entity structure, learning about how much money do you need. It was a big learning curve for me, and there just wasn't any support in that industry at all.
Definitely. So after that, was there any major losses in the beginning?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the machines at first were out places, but they were not profitable. Like it was like we made a little bit of money, but we did not make enough money for it to be profitable. I had to just go into it with the mindset of this is my exposure time. I know this season is not going to make a lot of money, but I'm not going to stop. I have to use this time to get my name out there. There were some machine locations that were terrible. Like we went to one place, it was racist. It was a sundown town and nobody wanted to go there, but we did it because it had a good market and we just had to get our foot out there to reach new customers. So sometimes some seasons is not really profitable in business. You have like other measures of success that people kind of forget about.
What keeps your mind strong and keep going in terms like that you put your all into something and it don't go how you want it to go the first time? What do you think, what was going through your mind, and why do you think many people get discouraged at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always, I was not too loud. For me, it was always my kids. They keep me going. But then also it was just like understanding that what we're doing is bigger than me individually. trying to really build like generational wealth, trying to really help community and see it get better. So I tell people all the time, normally two things. When times are hard, you have to have a why, like your purpose or your reason for why you do things, and think about that often, because that's what kept me going. And then also, I always tell myself that if I make a goal, it's my goal to see it through, not to. And so that way, if I reach my first goal, I already know I'm thinking about the next goal. And I already know that this goal is just a benchmark to a bigger picture. So it just kind of encourages you that the fight's not over and there's more at play than just yourself internally. And so that's helped me get through a lot of really hard times in business and personal life, just remembering who I'm doing this for and what's at stake if I don't get through this.
Definitely, definitely. That's a very strong way of doing it, because I think for many business people that get successful, it's always a backstory of when they took losses before they got to get into wherever they're going. And where would you say is one of your most successful works or business that you've done that you are very proud of? And is
honestly, I know that people want me to say Baby Van. It's because it makes sense. I'm actually the most proud of Juneteenth. I remember Juneteenth in Alaska growing up, and it was like the weekend in terms of blackness. And when I was younger, I didn't even know what Juneteenth was. All I knew is that we did it, and it was something that was culturally important, and it was a bunch of black people on the park strip. But I didn't really know why. And so when it went through its tough period of like going away and not being seen and us losing it for so long, it really bothered me. So to be able to go from an amazing Juneteenth experience growing up to no Juneteenth, and then saying, well, I'm gonna do my part and try to have conversations with people to bring it back, and now it's massive again, that's very special to me, because Juneteenth is hands down the hardest, most stressful, sometimes thankless volunteer job ever, but it means the most to me because it means the most to our community, especially Black community. So that's my big one. That's like, I'm most proud of that.
Definitely, definitely. Is there any other ones that?
I'd say after Juneteenth, my other business one that I think is most important to me. I mean, I know it's on pause, and I know it's probably a part 2 episode, and it's all controversial, but I absolutely also love the Hip Hop Awards.
The Hip Hop Awards?
The Alaska Hip Hop Awards. I helped Reg with that for many years, and that also was another labor of love that was a little crazy. But again, I still love it and believe in having platforms like that for artists. I know that's a whole part 2 show. But that was also really important because a lot of states and places don't even have that. And so even though it was a little deep sometimes, I think it was just still special that we were able to at least attempt to have something like that to show love to artists. Those are my top 2.
Those are your top 2?
Yeah.
And with the Alaska Hip Hop Awards, I plan on doing one, bringing it again. Would you be willing to do something with that?
I mean, yeah, we have a next one scheduled for next year, but there's just some work that has to happen. So we got to bring everybody together to kind of rebuild that love and that faith and hear from folks in it. So it's definitely coming back. So I think all hands on deck are needed.
Definitely, definitely. Now let's get into the parts where, tell me parts where you go into this stuff and you do work and some other people see the work, but the help part of it from the community and the people. How is that for you? Because we see you run around a lot.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I definitely know who my tribe is, and I know who is there, and I know who has my back. I will say, when I first got started, I don't think my experience was too much different than anybody else. I would say like it was hard to get support. It was hard to get people to show up. They didn't know who I was, therefore they didn't know my intentions. And I had to really just suck it up and keep going every year and just building relationships. So nowadays, I feel like I have a lot more support. It's definitely there, and I wouldn't even be able to do what I do without support. But I will use that as a cautionary tale for people to say, just because it looks one way right now does not mean it was always like this, and it does not mean it was easy. It took many, many years to get to this place in business. And it's still a challenge sometimes, like I know who like my demographic is and those kind of things. And there's always things to improve on and do better in. But I feel like I have a lot more support now than when I started. That's for sure.
Definitely. That's definitely nice to know that now things are going and moving. And in the community too, everybody see you as the leader of the Afro-American community here. How did that role come about to you?
So I think my first disclaimer is my hope is that our community will have a bunch of leaders. So I don't see I don't see myself as the leader of the African American community. I think I see myself as one person in a really big ecosystem that wants to see us do good and see us win. I can see how that can look like that because I do so many events and I'm always outside. But I always want to stress to people like there's enough room for everybody. And I hope that we can hear as many voices as possible. So, for me, like I would never want to get to a point where they think like I'm the be all end all, or if it don't go to me, it don't happen. Because I want people to all feel empowered in their area. So I think I just show up all the time and I just try. I do events and I'm there and they see me. But I think with that, I just want to remind people that like it still takes community. So I respect others that are also out there doing the work. Some people get seen more than others, you know what I mean? But I think even though you're not seen and always heard, it doesn't mean you don't put in work.
Definitely. Talking about community, what do you think the state of Mountain View is currently?
Well, I think right now we are on the cusp of a battleground. I mean, I could say personally, the last 2+ years have been insane. I mean, I feel like we were fighting and taking losses left and right, from fighting to just keep the community center open, to not having buses, to trying to figure out where food is going to come from, to having a mass encampment of unhoused neighbors. And then we had violence, and then we had police shootings. I think it was just, honestly, it just felt like hit after hit after hit. And then compounding that with trying to resolve what is happening internally. And then you have to also battle on what's happening in your neighborhood internally, mixed with external judgments, preconceived notions, and 2 cents that sometimes wasn't asked to be added. It just, I think, compounded a really bad situation. I feel like, and that's honestly why I wanted to do that event this weekend and then keep doing the street fairs, because with all them fights and battles,
Yeah, man, the Mountain View, definitely, they took a lot of hits this
yeah, man, and I try to remind myself to be happy and like think about the good things that are happening too. But man, it's hard not to get like down. So that's honestly like why I wanted to do the music event after the street fairs. Like, let's just come have fun together and just remember that even though we're going through stuff and we have challenges, we're still here. We still deserve joy. We still deserve fun. And there are a lot of great artists out there that really need to be supported. So that is my final take.
Definitely. And about, I seen not long ago at Davis Park, they man, my English is...
Oh, no, you're good. Oh, Lord. Now I can't get it out.
Evacuated everybody.
Yeah.
Over there. What are your takes on that?
Yeah, honestly, that situation got our neighborhood dragged. Like, we got dragged in the media, dragged on social media. I can say, from an internal person who lives over here and works over here and does all kinds of stuff over here, our neighborhood overall was very supportive of Davis Park and snowed up and all of that. I think the challenge came in where after so many years of asking for help and saying, if the camps are going to be here, you got to give the same support that you may give to other places. You have to have consistent toilets. You got to have clean dumpsters. You got to have health services, food, or whatever. But when you have a location like that and the problems are escalating and the support is not there, and you compound that with already being in a historically disadvantaged neighborhood who's going through a host of other challenges, it makes it almost impossible for that to be supported. And so one thing that I really wanted to just kind of set the record straight is That Mountain View Community Council worked pretty closely with the city on everything. Our president went over there daily, checking on people, and it was honestly, it was a lot of love for a long time. But I think after so many years of saying like we need help, we can't do it by ourselves. It's got to be consistent. You got people over here. There is health outbreaks. There's violence. There's gangs. There's sex trafficking. There's animals. There's animal abuse. There's just so much that if they can't help you, then you're like, my hands are tied. Help us, or unfortunately, this has to go somewhere else. And I really think that that was more so the tone versus just get them out. I think people inadvertently had a thought process of it's Mountain View. They should have just stayed in Mountain View because they're already poor. They're already going through stuff. They won't care. And I think that's flawed thinking. I recognize that like it is a systemic issue. It doesn't matter where someone resides that's unhoused. Some neighborhood's going to be impacted and somebody's going to be upset. But I do think it requires being firm on the powers that be and holding them accountable for the situations that they either created or they keep uplifting and they keep enabling to keep happening.
Definitely. And when it comes to the stereotype or stigma that's on Mountain View being one of Alaska's or Anchorage's dangerous neighborhoods or worse, what is your takes on that?
I mean, we have problems. Trust me, I know we have problems. Like, we definitely have our issues. We have violence and things happening, but the same things happen all over the city. So the idea of just trying to throw that in one neighborhood in one place is because it feels familiar or you have accepted that those are the faces that do those things. To me, that's crazy. There is violence all over the city. There is drugs all over the city. There is violence happening downtown. I mean, we get the brunt of it. They even report on us differently. Like if something happens in Mountain View, it's like crime happened in Mountain View, the neighborhood. If something happens somewhere else, it's like crime happened on Johnson Street. So there's just a hyper fixation to put everything there. And I think that that's unfair.
Definitely. Talking about that, let's move to downtown. Right now, the state of downtown is very questionable and the safety of people going there in the weekend. Like, I know you have seen and heard in the news the stuff that's been going on Gaslight. What are your takes on that?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. Well, the first thing I will say is I feel very, very bad, and my heart goes out to anybody who was shot, anybody who had to shoot, or whatever the case is. I don't know the details, but my heart goes out to anybody that got hurt downtown. I think that's the number one thing to say. I will say, maybe it may be controversial, but those who know me know I just say what I want to say. I do feel like certain businesses are given more passes to problems, bad behaviors, and things of that nature than other businesses. I can say, from experience, it seems like just some businesses are afforded more free passes to bad behavior, whereas other businesses, like a lot of times more so Black and brown businesses, they get shut down faster, they get dragged faster, or they would have already been shut down by now. But because it's not, it's a white establishment or whatever the establishment it is, they just get to keep existing as it is. And I do think that's a bias in business and community. If one person got killed outside of a Black bar or whatever the case is, we would have been shut down and dragged to being shut down, losing our liquor license or whatever. But other establishments here definitely get more free passes. And that's not, me saying that in any official Jasmin capacity. That's just me, Jasmin Smith, saying that's what I have seen and experienced, and it's very real to me.
Definitely, because many people have been talking lately that LED was here for the Black people. They closed that one down quickly for the same thing, and many other Black establishments, Black and brown establishments, that they closed down. And Gaslight, it seems like every single weekend, because just last week we was talking about this on the podcast, and the weekend comes around and somebody get killed again. And before that, it was countless amount of violence. Even in the club, you see a lot of fights there, bottles being thrown. But every other weekend, it keeps going. And the police station is right across the street.
Right. I will say that part's a little wild. I'm like, you're already there. So how does this keep happening? I mean, like I guess I kind of, and I stand firm on the whole idea of like, there's biases in business. Some businesses get way more passes than others, and that's a problem. And then on the other side, it's recognizing too, something has to change with the ownership too and patronage. Because like we closed that one. If we don't recognize what went wrong at that one, do we risk people just moving from there and taking that problem somewhere else? You know, so it does open up a bigger conversation about why we no longer have a solid nightlife. Okay, so we do hold that establishment accountable. But then on the flip side, what can we do to ensure that we don't move it to the next place? At the same time, people still want to be able to go out and have a good time and not be subjected to that kind of craziness. I will just say, if it was me from a city standpoint, I would look at how to allow Anchorage to establish some sort of like conversation or a commission about safe nightlife, because you can't just get rid of nightlife. You shouldn't, but it does have to be safe. And if there's going to be standards that are given to business owners and venues that are after hours, it should be the same across the board for everybody. People shouldn't get any free passes.
Definitely. That's definitely gonna make other people feel some type of way, and it seems like they just care about that. And it seems like the owner, Jim Patton, works with the police himself, and it's in very much connection with them. So people been talking about that a lot lately. I've seen that. And also, when, let's say, Diamond, I don't hear a lot of things about Diamond, but people also say there's a lot of stuff going on there in Diamond about drug problems.
I mean, but it's also how, it's like, you know, the key thing with that is, it's media. What do you want to report on, and how do you report it? Now, they're not going to go on the news and say shooting in Diamond. They're going to say shooting on whatever street. And maybe most people don't know what that street is, so they can't tell geographically where things are happening. But when it's East Side, everybody's excited to say it's Muldoon, Mountain View, Fairview, whatever the case is. So it's true. There really is stuff happening all across our city right now. But how they choose to report it and what they choose to share is sometimes like bias.
What about our government and our?
I'm like, that's a big question.
And our political leaders. Right now, I'm hearing. I seen this commercial said Dan Sullivan is taking our money and giving it to the rich and rich. What are your takes on that, man?
I mean, I don't even know where this. Look, that's a whole nother podcast conversation. It's like, it's the state of our politics right now on so many things is just insane. I mean, like I don't remember contemporarily fighting so hard and so deep and having so much issues like funding and education and drilling. Like it's a lot. It's heavy right now. I would say if there was ever a time to make sure people vote and they get involved in civics, like literally right now, people are fighting for their livelihood. I mean, like people don't even realize like the funding freeze, how much money our state has lost from federal cuts and issues. And it's really, really bad. Right. And I don't, that's a whole nother conversation to get into, however, but I will tell people like they need to pay attention because it's bad and it's no longer it doesn't impact us. We're in Alaska. This stuff is here. And a lot of people are going to feel it if they haven't already when you can't get your service approved. Is your Medicaid application already slow? Were you denied? Do your kids have Denali Kid Care? They got cut off. Did your class size go from 20 to 30 something because they lay off teachers? That nonprofit that normally helps you and gives you your bus voucher or your whatever the case is, they can't do that no more because they don't have any money. And so it's just a host of just things that people have to recognize. It does impact you and it's serious right now. So you got to pay attention.
Definitely. Talking about that and lack of things here. Our entertainment scene now is getting better, but why do you think our entertainment scene is very poorly paying attention to?
I mean, like you really get me with these questions. No, I feel like